Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since the last episode, but this one's worth the wait. I'd heard about a place called Blackfellows Hands Cave, which is supposed to be somewhere out the back of the Blue Mountains, and it looked like a pretty interesting ride to get out there, and ended up being even better than I thought it would be. I got a chance to really test the Tiger 900 off-road, and I'm still amazed that with the right tyres, just how far down a rough track this bike will take you. Speaking of tyres, the Continental TKC 80s that I'm on now are pretty much due for replacement. I've got about 6,000 Ks out of the rear, so pretty happy with it, and the grip's been quite good on and off-road, but I'm looking for something with even more off-road bite. If anyone's got any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. To make it a bit more of an interesting ride, rather than just heading out Bell's Line of Road, I started the trip at Lower Portland Ferry and tracked along the Colo River before heading up Mountain Lagoon Trail towards Bilpin. At Bilpin I just turned right on the usual path over the mountains, which is Bell's Line of Road, before turning right at Clarence Colliery, which is where the Zigzag Railway has just started operations again after a few years of being down. This is where the fun really starts, heading out across Newnes Plateau and finally finding Blackfellows Hands Trail after getting a bit lost and needing some directions from a local. It was a bit off my planned route, but I noticed this escarpment on the map and thought that if I got a chance I'd try and head down and find it. It ended up being a lot tougher than I thought it would be, but that's what adventures are about. Lower Portland Ferry is one of the smaller ferries in the area. It's pretty close to Wiseman's Ferry, and it crosses the Hawkesbury River right at the confluence between the Hawkesbury and the Colo River. It was pretty early in the morning and I had the whole ferry to myself. It's not long after getting off the ferry that the road turns to dirt and you start winding your way alongside the Colo River. I had thought this was going to be a pretty normal dirt road ride, but it turned out to be surprisingly scenic, and I started to get that feeling you get when you know it's going to be a good day on the bike. in at the Blue Mountains Botanic Gardens for a quick bite to eat and was soon on my way again. Thank you.
Turkey sandwich.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Been out of commission for a few years, but the zigzag railway is finally back, and this is actually where you turn right to get into Newnes Plateau from Bell's line of road. And I was looking forward to exploring one of my favourite playgrounds. There really are endless tracks up here, and aside from the odd locked gate, you can go in pretty much any direction. I'd mapped a path out on Gaia GPS, but as usual, when you get there, you have to reassess the situation. And I found some pretty tricky trails, and I was struggling to get up some of these hills on the big bike. I was sure I was going to drop the bike here, but I really didn't want to do that, so I just hung on and kept sliding. I knew I was going to have to back down here, and the angle of the bike was going to send me into a tree, so I spun the back wheel out to change the angle and back down a bit straighter. One of the problems when you're sliding backwards is that the front brake is not going to give you as much grip as the back, but you need your right foot on the ground to stabilise the bike. I'm sure a better rider would have had no trouble, and looking back on it now, I reckon if I'd hit it a bit faster, I would have been fine, but without knowing what was ahead, I didn't really feel like taking the chance.
How's it going? How's it going?
Good.
Yeah, good.
There are a few steps in it.
Yeah.
I don't want to roll over.
No, you'll be right. That thing will be do anything.
Yeah, it will. Just a bit rough.
That's all right.
Luckily, I bumped into a couple of fellow explorers and had a good chat, and it wasn't long before I was back on the right road and heading to Blackfellows Hands Cave.
All right.
don't know where all this water came from because it hadn't rained for a few days, but I found myself picking my way through the mud following a couple of other four-wheel drivers at about the same pace. I hadn't been out this far before, and I was just really enjoying picking my way through this obstacle course of mud holes and narrow chicken tracks. One of the best things about being on a bike compared to driving a four-wheel drive is that you can duck through these little narrow side tracks and get around some of the bigger obstacles. When I was making the 3D map for this route, I noticed that there was a big drop-off escarpment looking thing out this way, and I saw a side road and thought I'd take it down and see if it was going to head down towards that cliff edge, which would give me a pretty good view. It wasn't part of my original planning, and the road quickly became really rough and heading downhill very steeply. And I was wondering if I was going to be able to clamber my way back up, but thought it would be worth it if I could get to where I think this was going to take me. As I got further and further down, I started to get that feeling you get when you're approaching an edge and the horizon starts to look more like sky and less like mountains, and you get this sense of openness coming up ahead. But I couldn't imagine just how epic it was going to be. Well, after that awesome experience, I now had the daunting task of heading back up the track that got me down here. And it was definitely one of the most technical, but also the most fun parts of the day. It's absolutely grueling wrangling one of these big bikes up this sort of rough terrain, and by the time I got to the top I was completely out of breath. Got to cut back on those pies. I really didn't want to drop into this gully on the right, so I ended up holding hard left and taking a fair bit of foliage in the face. I didn't notice it at the time, so it shows how into the right I must have been. Coming back out of the side track and heading back down Blackfellows Hands Trail, I came across some of the most amazing rock formations I've ever seen. The video really doesn't do it justice. They tower up on either side of the track as you come through and really are incredible. At the end of all that, I finally came up to Blackfellows Hands and got off the bike to get some much needed exercise walking up the hill to have a look. If you get a chance, it's well worth coming up here. It really is an amazing location. I had this sense of the vastness of time and all the countless people sat in this exact spot looking at this same view over the years. Well, thanks for watching another one of my videos, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I've got some epic trips planned, so if you want to catch those, please be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.